Hey, what's up, comrades? All right, week number 2 of our October horror game marathon. And this time we're going to do 3 games. They're the Illusion games. So there's the Illusion Nightmare, and the Illusion, the Curse. Or is it just Curse? I don't know. We'll see when we get there. So these are all like puzzle horror games made by a company called Raven Games. They haven't made anything else. All these games came out within the last 5 years. And this review is going to be pretty short because these aren't really there's not a lot of story necessarily going on in these games. Particularly, they are, I say particularly, I didn't mean to say that. What I mean to say is they are puzzle games. So what I think of when I think of a puzzle horror game, I think of something like The Seventh Guest or The 11th Hour, which is the sequel to The 11th Guest. And they are games that have a bit of a story, and they have cute little cutscenes and FMVs and stuff, and they are fucking delightful. If you just want a throwback adventure game that's just fun to play and has very intense puzzles, but not too intense. You can figure it out, I promise, as long as you use your mind a little bit and all this stuff. And then The Seventh Guest and The 11th Hour are excellent. And I thoroughly enjoy them and highly recommend them. Right? I'm not playing them now because I've played them somewhat recently. I played them 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, I played them originally when I was a kid. And an even funnier story, my best friend's dad was the guy who made the original guide for this fucking game on I'm trying to remember which forum. This was before GameFaqs, right? This was just on some fucking website. He went through and did all the puzzles and figured it all out and stuff. And then he got me and his son to play through it. To test it out, to make sure it wasn't bullshit and whatnot. So that was fun. So, and then I played 11th Guest, or 11th Hour later, which again is kind of a loose sequel. But those games, great stories, very interesting. I was expecting something like that with the Illusion games, and they're really just puzzle games with not really a story at all. So, but the one thing I did notice is that there's no walkthroughs anywhere. The Illusion has a YouTube walkthrough. Yeah, so as the first one, the Illusion has a walkthrough. And then if you get on the Steam board and you ask a question, the developers seem to be good about answering questions if people are stuck. But what I noticed is there's no written walkthrough for these games. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, because I really enjoyed the puzzles in this game, and some of them drove me the fucking nuts. But my plan is I'm going to go ahead and write out a walkthrough for these games and put it online on gamefaqs and Steam, most likely. If not, NeoGAF is the other one, or Neo, whatever the other one is. Just so people can have it, because I hate YouTube guides. Because it's you're watching someone else play, and then you're going and repeating it. I'd rather just have, a guide. And I'm talking about this guide, because, again, there's, no story to talk about. This video is going to be, 15 minutes long, if that. And if you watch any of my shit, that is, nothing. I think I went through Claire Obscura's story for, 4.5 hours. Right? And even some of these just old Nintendo games and whatnot. I think I talked about Princess Peach's fucking Switch game for 35 minutes. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about 3 games. They're just going to be 5 minutes long. But go ahead. If any of this sounds interesting to you, I'm not going to talk about the puzzles, but I would say if you like puzzles, these are pretty good games. And last time I saw it, you could get all 3 of them for $6 on Steam, right? So even if you're not a pirate high commander like I am, and you're just fuck it all, I don't give a shit about society or commerce or anything, and you're a complete communist, and you're just everything should belong to everyone, so therefore I will make it happen. That you could buy these games, and I would say they're pretty good. The first one is super frustrating, so by the time this video comes out, I will have a guide out there, so please feel free to my plan is to just kind of give some hints, because sometimes I'd walk into a room, Lord give me strength, and like I said, the first one I literally had to watch this guy do it on a video, and I don't know how he fucking figured it out, because I would walk into a room and I would be there's no hints, no guides. And one of the biggest issues I had with the first game particularly is that it would reference other rooms. And the second one did this, but the second one did this in a much more eloquent way. And the second one is The Nightmare. While the first game, I would walk into rooms sometimes and be okay, this room looks vaguely similar to another room. And then I'd have to remember where that other fucking room is. And there's 15 rooms in a mansion, and they're separated by sometimes they'll be, and it's all rooted around the zodiac, and sometimes there would be a zodiac sign that would open multiple doors, and so I would have to be God damn it, game. And there were occasions there was one puzzle, again, there was a couple of puzzles, 3 or 4, not insignificant, not just one puzzle. There was I would say at least 3 Yeah, three. I would say 3 to 5. I'll go back and I'd have to go back and look, but there was at least 3. Let's just say 5, because I'm sure I did. There were 5 puzzles that I had literally had to watch this guy play, and I was still confused. And then when I did what he did and it worked, I was like, I don't understand why this fucking works. And I was literally sat in the game for like 5 minutes looking at everything and trying to figure out, like, how did you get to this fucking conclusion, right? Like, I have no goddamn clue. And then the game, like, tells you that, like, oh, there's these phones in these rooms. Well, I guess you started. Okay. So there's this crazy, like, sun masked woman with, like, the zodiac signs, the 12 zodiac signs, dangling from, like, the alchemist zodiac sign. So it's a really cool, like, concept and idea dangling from, like, her head, and she's holding a heart with, like, knives in it. And so you start playing the game, and the way the game works is you have a heart, and then eventually you can find a flashlight, and you can find a lighter. The flashlight is useful for one room, and then the lighter, I think you needed to use probably 2 or 3 times. That's it. And like I said, there are, like, so there's 12 zodiac signs, so there's 12 puzzle rooms, plus there's a reverse room, which is like a little maze, plus there's an infinity room, which is like a whole fucking maze, which is like not that, and like not that hard. At first it was like very daunting, but then I realized that I was making it too hard for myself. And often that's the case. Like, I feel like the people who made this game, they make these puzzles, and you walk into these rooms, and again, the Nightmare and the Curse, much better at, like, walking into a room, looking at the situation, and being able to kind of, like, figure it out. The first game, there were times I would walk in the room, and I'd be like, I have no fucking clue what I'm supposed to do here. And then there's Zora. Zora's like the crazy lady who, like, locks you in here, and she's a member of a cult or something. It never fully explains it. You get called Martin a couple of times. But that's all the information you're really given. And then you're in this manor. You don't know how you got there. Probably like an investigative journalist or something. And then when you free yourself from the manors in all 3 games, because it's all the same setup, just the 3rd game has like a different chick, which we'll get to. But the Zora is the first 2. So like Nightmare is not like a remaster or a remake of the first game, but it is like almost there. Like, there were puzzles in Nightmare that were almost identical to the puzzles from the Illusion. And playing the Illusion first made playing Nightmare like 1,000 times easier, because I'd walk into rooms and be like, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do here. Because I spent a half an hour in fucking the Illusion trying to figure it out, right? And I would say what helps a lot with these games, if you're going to play them and you don't want to go track down my guide, is I had a whiteboard and a marker, and so I would, like, write out the rooms and literally be like, okay, these are the zodiac signs, this is what it's telling me, how do I connect these things? And that made it, like, so much easier than trying to just, like, walk around these 3D environments, because it's like a 3D game. Like, it's a first-person, like, Myth style, like, game where you wander around, you solve these puzzles, you go to the different rooms, and the whole mansion's like a fucking maze. Like, it doesn't, like, it'll be like, go here, then go to the other side of the mansion, then go next door, then go next door, then go back to the first side of the mansion, right? It's like, there's no rhyme or reason to it, per se. There's just, like, rooms slammed all over the place, so it can get very confusing, especially when you have to, especially in The Illusion, the first one, you have to backtrack to rooms you've already been to get information to then bring back to these new rooms. And thank goodness the Nightmare does not do that. Like, there's a couple times, but it's like very obvious. It's not like, and then you even get a hint. Like, the hint system in the first game, when you call Zora from these phones to get hints, she does not respond to you 9 times out of 10. But in the Nightmare, if the phone's there, she will give you a hint. So it's way better designed. And I'd almost say, like, if you don't want to deal with the headache or use a guide, just start with the Nightmare and you'll be good to go. And then you can play Curse, which has like a different antagonist for it. But yeah, so the Illusion, you start in the mansion, you go through it, you solve the puzzles, eventually you escape, and then Zora's like, ooh, hoo, hoo, I'll see you again soon. And then she does, because that's what Nightmare is about. So that's the first game. And like I said, the puzzles are very good. Generally, some of them are kind of mind fucking me. But there's hints in most of the rooms that you can kind of figure out. Like I said, there was at least 5 rooms that, like, I had no fucking clue. So that's not good, but also it's like 1/3. So 2/3 of the game I was able to just kind of, like, figure out with my dumbass. While, like, one third of it, I was just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do here. But if you need help and you want to play this game, like I said, GameFaqs and Steam, hopefully I'll get these guides up before this comes out, so you can just go look them up. And I'll have it for all 3 games. So the second game in the series is called The Nightmare. No. I'm sorry. It's called Nightmare. So it's The Illusion Nightmare. And this is almost like a redo of the first game. I kind of mentioned this before, but so you still have to deal with Zora. You still have the phones that you can call to get hints. This time around, they are much more useful. Again, there's no gamefaqs guide on this or anything, so I'm going to go ahead and put that up. So by the time you see this video, it should be up there. I'm going to probably work on it now, and then this video pops up in like October, and it's like several months before then when I'm playing these games. So if you have any questions or concerns or maps or whatever, you can check that out. There's also YouTube videos. I found another one. I can't remember what it was. But there were a couple guys who've done the guide for this. And so I'm assuming the curse, or have done like walkthroughs. And so I'm assuming the curse, which is the third game in like the trilogy, would have even more because it's even more modern. This one, well, I found 100 times easier. And then the Illusion, because a lot of the issues I had with the Illusion was just trying to figure out what the fuck I was supposed to be doing. Like, I'd walk into a room, and there would be some bullshit there, and I would have to, like, spend, like, 10, 15 minutes sometimes, maybe even, I could spend an hour on one puzzle, just trying to, like, understand, like, what was I supposed to do here. The Nightmare is a much more easy onset, because the game has clues in the rooms. Like when there's a phone there and you call the phone, it will give you an actual clue. Now later on, sometimes it has repeat puzzles with like a little bit of added stuff, or there's just like more. So for example, there'll be like a room with like X amount of things, and then like 2 things you got to manipulate, and then, or 1 thing you got to manipulate, and then later on there's a puzzle with 2 things, and the 2 things like affect each other, right? Which is like kind of hard when I'm just talking vagarities, but essentially it's like, okay, so you have a thing, and if you click on the thing, it like manipulates everything else in there, and so you got to kind of figure out, okay, so there's 4 things to click, and each one like moves the circle like 1, 2, 3, or 4 spaces, and then it also moves like the secondary circle like 1, 2, 3, or 4 spaces, and so you kind of got to do the math. Again, writing all this stuff out, if you want to do this by yourself, is the way to do it. Like I had a whiteboard and a pen, and I would just like draw everything out and do like little charts and stuff, and that made solving the puzzles like 1,000 times easier. And also the fact that I'd already like figured out the gist of what the fucking puzzle was supposed to be from the first one, and also because when there's phones with hints, they actually give you hints that are worth something. So if the Illusion is these games, and I think I said this earlier as well, but these games get progressively easier. Partially, if you play them in order, you just kind of like start understanding like the mindset of what's going on. It's like if you just pick up like a King's Quest game, for example, like an old Sierra adventure game, and you start playing it, and you have no context, especially if you are like not as old as I am. Like if you come from like a younger generation, like millennial onwards, like generation Y through alpha or beta or whenever this video gets watched. You have like, if you're playing video games and then you play this game from like the 1980s, you have like no context in like what you're even supposed to do if you have no idea. But if you play the first one, you play the second one, you're like, okay, now I'm already set up. And that's how the Illusion games works. So it's obviously you're just supposed to go into the rooms and solve puzzles. That's not like the hard part, right? And they're like very Myst style. So if you've played like any kind of, there's still like people, I mean, obviously this game just came out. They're still making games like this that are like more niche, but available. So, but once you kind of get like the idea of what this person's going for, and then the puzzles repeat somewhat. Like there's the piano puzzle. I walk in there and it's like, find the other parts of this piano puzzle, and I'm like, I just played the tune that I literally fucking memorized because I had to like memorize it in the first game. And so I like remembered it, and so I just played it and hit play, and it like solved the puzzle. So, so again, it just makes it easier because I don't have to like search for shit. That being said, the one thing that makes this game more difficult than the first one is there's 2 different puzzles where you have to like pick up items that are just like lying about, right? And if you miss them, you got to like very slowly go back and search. Like there was one item in particular that like I could not find. I had to go, and this is how I ended up on like the YouTube. I found the YouTube guide or the YouTube walkthrough because I was like, oh no, this one I went back to the Steam forum and someone is like, where the fuck is like the candle? And so then they're like, oh, it's over here by this room, like totally across this area. And I was like, god damn. So I go over there and I found it. And then I found the YouTube guide because there was one puzzle I did not understand because part of that is my fault because I used the guide without in the Illusion, like the YouTube guide, without actually when I use the guide just to like finish the puzzle because it's one of the last puzzles in the game, and I did not sit there and figure out like why this is like this. So when I played through, when I got to that point, I was like having a real struggle sesh trying to figure out like what was going on. And so when I went to the YouTube guide and then he kind of explained it as he was figuring it out. He's like, oh, I figured out it's this. And I was like, oh, thank God. And so then when that same puzzle like shows up like again or same style of puzzle in the Curse, I was like, I already know what to do, and it was very simple. So again, as the games got further along, it's not that the puzzles are any easier per se. What's easier is that each consecutive game gives better and better hints. So when you walk in a room, you're not just completely fucking like, what am I supposed to do? So like the hardcore, if anything, you should play them in reverse order, because by the time you get to the final, like the Illusion, you have no hints essentially. You just stumble into rooms, and if you played the Curse and the Nightmare, by that point with all their hints, you get less and less hints. So it's almost like, and also if you want to play in hard mode, you start with the Illusion, and easy mode's going to be Curse, to be honest, because the game has like that game has like very good hints. Like, and it's almost like too easy, if you will. And it seems like people are like, how the fuck do I play this game? As soon as you get to the Curse, it's like, this is how you play it. It's like, oh, okay. Like, yeah. And there's still like some of the puzzles I walk in and they kind of say things, and you still kind of got to like use your brain, but it's like, it's more obvious, I feel, than previously. Okay, so that's the Illusion. You get through the maze. You get through the whole thing. The whole thing is, it's different. And then when you get to the end, it's the exact same ending. You like open the door and you run out and you're running along, and Zora's like, I'll see you again, hoo, 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 and you don't, because the Curse, which is the third game, is like a totally different person. It's like Mora, I think it's Mora, yeah. So, but the second game is like, it's more visually stunning. It's kind of more dark. You get like fucking ghosts that attack you periodically, which is annoying more than anything else and like surprising. But it's more of like a horror game. Like the aesthetics, like in the Illusion, it's just like you're in like in a mansion, like an abandoned mansion. The second one, you're like in a haunted mansion, and there's like some very gory stuff and things like that, and it's dark, and it's a little creepier than before. But I still enjoyed it, and it's good. Yeah. So that's the Illusion Nightmare. So finally, we come to the third game on our little trilogy journey, and more of the same. Just like Nightmare, the transition from the Illusion to the Illusion Nightmare, where the graphics get an upgrade and such. There is virtually no story. We are once again stuck in a haunted mansion. This one is a little creepier. So in Nightmare, we had ghosts that would show up periodically. This one has like crying babies that turn into like zombie monsters. And then there's this part in the game where we have this whole like kind of hedge maze thing. It's not a hedge, but it's like that. We're like outside, and there's like a maze with fences, and we got to like find like a key. No, we have to find a key and an orb. So, no, like a device to get through it. And while we're doing that, the main villain of this game, which is no longer Zoria, it's now Mora. She'll like show up and she'll do like a lot of fucking damage to our hearts. And again, like with the first game, I don't think I ever lost all my heart in Nightmare. But in the original The Illusion, at some point I was just like YOLO it. And I think I got my heart all the way down to the bottom, and it just made your vision blurry, but you never died. In this, you will die. Like I died a few different times. Because I just, like the first time it happened, I was like ill prepared. I was just like, whatever, heart, who gives a fuck about you? And then I got hit by like a ghost too many times or whatever. And then it like died and like went back. And it almost seemed like it was going to, I think the Nightmare did this too. It almost seemed like it was going to like delete my save and make me start all over again. And I was like, fuck this game. Granted, I've already solved the puzzle, so it wouldn't have been that difficult to get back to where I was. But like each one of these games, if you know all the answers, like if you just go through the walkthrough, or the guide that I'm putting up, it maybe take you an hour per game, if that. Like they're pretty short. Like the biggest part is just kind of figuring out the puzzles and moving around the maze-like structures that exist. The Curse is the least maze-like. So in the Curse, so like in the Nightmare, there'd be occasions we get to like find masks or whatever. And I would like, you'd be backtracking all the way to the beginning of the game to do like a thing later on. In the Curse, it's like very segmented. Like you'll be in like segment 1, and then anything you need, like anything you have to find is in that segment. And then you go to like segment 2. And if there's like a puzzle where you have to like collect things, everything you need is within like the hallway / like several rooms. And then you can't backtrack through the game at all, like pretty early on. Like before, I would say like a third of the way in, there's no, like you start and then you can like move to like a different room. I'd say like almost like instantaneously, you go through like the first room, the puzzle room, and then you can no longer go back to like the starting location until much later in the game, right? And then you get to like this part with like stairs and everything, and then once you get past that part, you are like in a totally different part of the mansion, and you like do not return to that portion till the very end of the game. And then even then, it's like you're kind of bouncing around. Like once you're done with the maze area, you do not go back there. So the game is like it continues, like each one of these iterations continues to be more tight. The puzzles make more sense. And this game has a lot less clues, but the clues are like less necessary because the puzzles on their own are more obvious, which again makes this easier than Nightmare. I would say Nightmare, out of the three of them, is the best game. Like, it involves the most amount of like sometimes there's just puzzles where you walk into a room and you gotta like spin something so it matches up, and then you got it good. But then it gets like more complicated, and there's more complicated stuff, and then it like adds things on, while also being like accessible. The Illusion has the hardest puzzles. The Curse has the least hardest puzzles. It also has, I would say, from my experience, the most annoying like search to find items stuff. But it also has some very unique stuff. Like the game, like again, it's kind of segmented, but within those segments, it'll have you like go back to other rooms to find stuff. But like in Nightmare, there was like times you're going back, like it'd be like, hey, you should check out this room, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like all the way back at the beginning of the game. So you gotta like trudge all the way back. But again, but still the way the manor's set up is very circular. Or it's set up like an actual manor where it's like stuff bleeds into each other. By the time you get to the Curse, it is just like, here's like a section of rooms. You transport to this next area. Here's another completely different section of rooms. Yeah, the architecture doesn't make sense. Like this one has windows, so you can literally look out windows in the rain, and it's like, that doesn't look right. Like the other buildings. It's just like, it's like looking out. It's like if you no clip out and you just see like rooms in like hallway segmentations and stuff in a game, and you're like, oh, that's how they built it, right? But they do a good job with all the window, with like the skyboxes and everything to make it look like it's like this thing, and you're moving up and down, and you're actually moving through different areas when it's just like box by box by box by box. Like that's how you make games. This was, yeah. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, so it's raining a lot of it. You hear thunder. That's good. The creepy babies are super creepy and annoying, so it's like you have to go get hit by them. Just kind of all in all, the game was, I don't know which one I prefer the most, to be honest. Like, they were all frustrating in their own way, but I feel like the Nightmare was the least frustrating. Like, I feel like it gave me enough to get what I needed done. And there was one instance where I used a guide, but it was like, because I'm an idiot. Like, the game was clearly telling me what to do, but I was so dumb that I was like looking past it, right? Like I was overthinking it or not thinking the right way, but like once I got my head straight, it made like complete sense. So it's like I can't fault the game. So yeah, Nightmare's the best one. And then the Curse was annoying because some of the items you got to find were like in areas like I would have never looked in or had any reason to look there ever. The corner, like on the floor, like in the corner behind something. And then one of them was like, a lot of the objects in all these games, like you can open drawers to find like stim packs essentially to like get your heart rate back up, or batteries for the flashlight, which for some reason runs out even though you barely use it. Or stuff for your lighter, which there's a lighter in the third game, in the Curse, but I don't think I ever... No. You have to use it one time. So just in case. Like, I forgot I even had it. Yeah. And the flashlight, you have to use one time as well to, like, get certain zodiac signs. So you use each one of them one time. So and then they can run out, and it was kind of like, why, though? Just so I don't use it? Okay. I guess the game just wants to be dark and stuff. But yeah, then once you get out, you just like make a break for it and run, just like the other two games. So I wonder if these guys are gonna make like a fourth one, which is just more puzzles that are kind of like on the same iteration, somewhat. I mean, I enjoyed it, and again, like for $6, you can get all three games if you just want to figure it out. Like it's pretty good. And again, if you go to my guides, I know I keep pimping these out, but hopefully they're helpful. I don't care. I just do all this stuff for like my own benefit. At the end of the day, like just my own creative benefit. I'm not expecting anything from anyone, but and you can find like YouTube videos of people walking through all these games, but I hate watching that. The only reason I did occasionally was because I had to. If I could just like open up a guide and be like, that's there, then I'd like that a lot more. Okay. So yeah, that's all three games. There's not much to talk about. There's no story. You're like trapped in a mansion. You escape from Zoira twice and then Moira once. And And that's it. Trying to think if there's anything else to discuss. You just got to experience for yourself. Again, it's puzzles. You just solve puzzles, and when you're done with the puzzles, you move on with your day. So yeah, so there you go. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will catch you guys later. Okay, bye.